Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Upward Spiral podcast. We have a very special episode today that I'm very excited. A colleague who I finally get to connect with, at least virtually, in a completely different time zone, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Uh, Dr. Gina Marie Papia has allowed me to shamelessly plug my newsletter right now, so I'm going to do that. So thank you, G. So for those who don't know, myself partnering with MindSplit Cafe and their founder Christopher Stowers has started a email newsletter titled Wellness Wake Up Med School Edition, which is basically a wellness newsletter tailored directly for medical students and really all healthcare professionals with wellness tips, mindfulness strategies, tips for success in medical school, and everything in between. So if you'd like the link, please contact me and I'll send it to you. So there's my shameless plug. Thank you, G. I'm sorry. I'll get you a beautiful Christmas gift. All right. So we are so honored today to have Ros Ben-Moshe. I hope I said that wonderfully. And I'm going to
Yes.
read her bio. So, Roz is a leading expert in the field of positivity, resilience, and laughter therapy. She's a health promotion professional, mindfulness practitioner, and author of The Laughter Effect: How to Build Joy, Resilience, and Positivity in Your Life. Her work focuses on the transformative power of intentional laughter, mindfulness, and positive psychology. A cancer thriver herself, Roz emphasizes how humor can serve as a powerful tool for emotional healing and improving overall well-being. She's also a keynote speaker and runs workshops on resilience and positivity. Roz, please let me know if I missed anything, and we are so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. The only thing that actually is missing is I also have a short course at La Trobe University in online laughter, resilience, and wellbeing. So we're in our second year for that. So that's yeah, super exciting.
That is amazing. If anyone really knows me, they know that I love to laugh. So when we first connected, I think I reached out to you because because I saw that, your short bio there. And I was like, well, that sounds amazing. I need to know Roz because I love to laugh and I constantly throw out the cliche that laughter is the best medicine. So to hear that someone's using that for good and actual career is unbelievable. So how did you get to where you are right now, Roz?
Yes, well, it didn't exactly happen overnight. And through so many things, it actually came from a journey of ill health. So, I was going through a challenging time in my life. I'd been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. This is going back, 25, 30 years ago now. And through that process, I was diagnosed with food allergies. And I started writing food as medicine articles. And I compiled so many recipes and I was contributing to assorted magazines. I thought, oh, I'm going to become the queen of gluten-free and dairy-free. I'm going to publish lots of recipe books. And back in the early 2000s, the publishers that I sent my proposals to said, nah, there's just not enough, market interest in, gluten free, dairy free, vegan type things. Sorry, we'll have to pass on this. So I could have been here,
Wow.
with like, 10 recipe books, under my belt, but that was not meant to be. And I started exploring. I thought, yes, food is really important and nutrition to our well-being. And obviously you and Gina and whoever's listening, you know that. However, I sort of was at that juncture. It's like, okay, It is really significant. However, there has to be more to it than that. So I started a journey into health promotion and well-being. Went back to study and at La Trobe University here in Melbourne, Australia. But before they actually signed off and said, yes, we accept you, because my undergraduate had been in the arts field, majoring in history and politics, many years ago, they said, you really need to get some equivalence, some sort of other experience. And as luck would have it, there was a World Health Organization health promotion conference in Melbourne just around that time. And I volunteered as a rapporteur, reporting on all of the sessions, and they were absolutely mind blowing. I thought I found my place. And there was one particular session in the lunchtime, okay? It was only 30 minutes. All of the other sessions were 1 hour, and it was a laughter yoga session. And I thought, this I have to report on. So along I went, with my notepad and pen. This is, back in 2002 or something like that. Um, and of course, if anybody has experienced laughter yoga, which is simulated laughter exercises together with clapping, ho, ho, ha, 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 and breathing, it's not something you report on. It's something you experience. It's something you do. And that short half hour that I had experiencing these simulated laughter exercises in this room of strangers, it gave me such a health bounce, like far more so than any health advice I'd been given over, the past several years. And so I felt really energized. So I knew it wasn't exactly, I wasn't going to make a career out of that because I was a serious person. I couldn't just like drop everything and become like a laughter yogi. That would be crazy. So I went back to study and ended up, during that time, I did train as a laughter yoga facilitator because I realized that there was so much talk about mental health in my studies, when I was doing my Master of Public Health, when I was doing my certificate in health promotion. But what they really were talking about was anxiety and depression and stress. And I thought, I understand that. But what about the flip side? What about, the stuff that really taps into that positive well-being, that joy? And that was when I thought laughter. That was like this instant switch. It's like it didn't sort of matter how, you were feeling. You could, with intention, as long as there wasn't too much resistance, you could choose to laugh. You could choose to smile. And instantly that changes your physiology. So so that sort of really started my exploration into this idea of laughter being the best medicine, Michael, as you said. And I became really good at preaching about laughter being the best medicine to anyone who'd listen, to cancer groups, to community health centres, to my students, until a rather unfunny time in my life when I, out of the blue, was diagnosed with colorectal cancer at the age of 42, so very young. And that really was when my exploration into this idea that I now call the laughter effect really sort of germinated. Because I could no longer just preach this idea of laughter being the best medicine, I had to actually live it. And that was considerably challenging for several reasons. Firstly, there's nothing funny about a cancer diagnosis. It's not like I thought, hey, ha, 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 ha. No. And the other thing that you would be familiar with is that after any form of abdominal surgery, let alone a full bowel resection with a temporary ileostomy, which was a bag that I wore on the outside of my stomach to help process the poop, you physically cannot laugh for several weeks. You can barely breathe. So for me, it was very much back to the drawing board. I knew laughter was the best medicine. I didn't feel like laughing. I couldn't laugh. So how can I join the dots? And I found that it was actually in one of my darkest days after surgery when I'd had a particularly rough night. And I was meant to be getting discharged the next day, but that was not on the cards. And I knew that my two boys, who were quite young at the time, were coming in, and I was feeling really very low, scared, basically just counting down the seconds till I could have the next shot of morphine. Um, I thought, I have to flip this. I have to flip this. And they delivered the breakfast tray, food on a tray with a placemat underneath. And in the olden days, there used to be a pencil accompanying that tray rather than an iPad. And I just was staring at this pencil and this blank, placemat, and I thought, there has to be something that I can be grateful for about this, having this, going through what I'm going through. So I mapped out a tiny margin to the left of the placemat, and I started to just write down things that came to mind. So grateful to have had this operation in a world-class hospital. So grateful for, my loving husband and friends, for the incredible staff. And before I knew it, I was mapping out another column, and I kept writing and writing and writing. And this is quite a big sheet. And I got to the end and I was like disappointed. It's like I still had more, to come. And I realized that my whole physicality had changed. I was sitting up far, more straightly. I was literally, it was almost like I was smiling, like a whole body smile, like from, all my cells and tissues, everything was smiling. And the nurse that came in to administer the morphine, she boomeranged right out because she thought she'd gone into the wrong patient's room. I'd changed so much. And that was really when I realized that there is much we can do to tap into this idea of the laughter effect, the smiling effect, without even physically laughing. So, gratitude being a pathway to that. And yes, so that's a very, very long answer to your question, but it very much was a journey, and it still is. It's not like I can say that, I've mastered it. And, it's still, sometimes I still need to be reminded to imbibe my own medicine,
I
Wow.
think we all need that every once in a while to be reminded of the things that we know. But what a beautiful story. Well, there's so many beautiful moments in there, but what I love most was sometimes we find our passion kind of at a convergence of a few things. Like you said, you found this laughter yoga and you were interested in it, but you're like, I'm a serious person, so I need to do
Yes.
serious work. And it's a combination of doing research and bringing that kind of scientific mind, questioning, and then the laughter, and it kind of marriages together into this beautiful creation. And then you came to experience, you thought you knew it, and then life threw you this turn of colon cancer, and it was like, we're testing you. Do you really believe what you're preaching? And I think that's absolutely beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yes. It was, yeah, I think for a few years, X many years ago, I sort of thought, oh, I wanted a story, and it's like I got my story.
What
Wow.
kind of, when you are teaching laughter yoga, what kind of techniques are you using? Are you going back to what you learned, like those, like you were saying, kind of the simulated laughter? What is that like for our viewers?
Sure. So laughter yoga was devised in the 1990s. I was thinking, no, it can't be that far back. It was way back in the 1990s, by an Indian doctor called Dr. Madan Kataria. And he was actually researching about laughter being the best medicine, but he was particularly stressed out. And anyway, he, together with his wife, devised a series of this idea called laughter yoga, which is a combination of simulated laughs, together with this deep breathing, which is the pranayamic breathing, which gives it the yogic component, and the clapping ho ho ha ha ha, which helps to build energy. And so essentially, I mean, there's different ways in which people do, incorporate laughter yoga. There's the straight laughter yoga sessions, which is a formula, really. It's the laughter, it's sort of like, a greeting laugh. It could be like a, greeting to you, a wave, or it could be a namaste, it could be a high five, or, even, a bigger embrace. So you've got the simulated laugh, you've got the ho ho ha 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 ha, and then the breathing, and then you go to the next laugh, which might be the mobile phone laugh. It's like everybody in a group sort of going around, you know, eye contact. And whilst that might sort of seem a little contrived or forced, the remarkable thing that, it's probably one of the questions I'm asked the most is there a difference between fake laughter and real laughter? And my response is fake, fake doesn't look good on anyone, right? Once you actually laugh with the intention, just for the health of it, just for the joy of it, you already, tapping into that beautiful energy. And your body cannot think. As you know, your body can only feel. So even though your brain might be sort of saying, oh, this feels really weird, your body's thinking, oh my gosh, this is what laughter feels like. Yes, let's get some more of it. And you get your, dose of positive well-being, that dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins.
Yeah.
So it's a really powerful thing. And I found it doesn't seem to matter what group of people I work with, whether they're, stressed out teachers or nurses or serious lawyers or people, with really, chronic health issues. Even if initially it starts off, slightly feeling a little, well, not fake, but just not genuine or authentic, in no time at all, because of the contagious nature of laughter, and also when it's shared, it becomes real and contagious in no time at all. So the resistance might be there initially, but then it just disappears.
Comes down. That's been my experience too. Is like if I've done laughter yoga classes or where they're incorporating, and it starts out as a fake laugh, like you're practicing, and then all of a sudden you can't stop laughing, like you're laughing so hard, it just becomes grows and grows. And I also realized when you brought up Dr. Kataria and his wife, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar where they have them on, both of them. Two beautiful people. You can't watch them laugh. And Mike, it is the funniest thing. You just can't, you smile from like ear to ear. And like you were saying, you feel all the cells in your body smiling, like smiling with my liver, laughing at these people because there's so much joy and like love to them. They're beautiful, beautiful people.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that would be one thing, that would be one of my go-to, laughter things that I have up my sleeve. But, there are times in our lives where that doesn't necessarily speak to you. So this was something that I first sort of experimented with when I was going through, the colon cancer. That sort of, I refer to it as my year of healing, and I wrote journals at the time, which ended up developing into my first book, Laughing at Cancer: How to Heal with Love, Laughter, and Mindfulness. And one of the things that really was so powerful was reframing through the lens of laughter, reframing through the lens of gratitude, reframing through the lens of positive emotion. So how that might look is that you're going through a challenging time. Rather than just talking about how challenging it is, how shit it is, how, all of the negative, which puts you on a downward spiral, can you actually use the prompt, okay, whilst, I'm going through this really challenging time, is there something I can be grateful for? Is there something I might be able to smile about? Is there something remotely funny or something that I can laugh about? If not now, what about in the future? Because in our brain, it doesn't really matter whether we are, thinking about something in the future or in the past. Our brain is in the present. So if we're so stuck in whatever it is we're going through, let's take ourselves 2 years down the track and think, oh, I remember when I was going through this, and isn't it amazing? I can find some glimmer here. I can find a glimmer of gratitude, or I can find something now that there was something funny about that, or wow, I've grown so much since then. So that's sort of another way in which we can really sort of tap into the energy, the essence of laughter and smiling. It's a different way. And then there are other, just really just little hacks that they sound so simple, but simple does not mean insignificant. You know, during that year of healing, because I couldn't laugh for several weeks, I really became like a serial smiler. And I initially started that because I couldn't, in my meditations, I needed something that would sort of boost my mood, not just sort of, the gentle breathing. And I started this sort of idea of, smile, the smile that sort of started at my face, that then, traveled to my heart space. And then I allowed this sort of smiling energy to sort of go around my gut and really encircle my gut and spend a little more time in the areas that were in pain, or perhaps there was a challenging emotion that I was dealing with. And I found that this intentional smiling, adding either, a bit of smiling to a regular meditation practice, or having a dedicated smiling meditation, was hugely powerful. It really tapped into, the endorphins, and as you know, that's our, feel good hormones. Our body's, pain management system, really. So it was really, really powerful. And then from then, I sort of thought, okay, I'm going to take the smiling out of this sort of private space. And I'm going to take this smiling into the public space. And I'm going to smile at more people who walk past me.
Hmm.
And it's been a real cascading experience in that I found that now I don't even know that I'm intentionally smiling, but people seem to smile back at me. I
Wow.
think it's sort of you become this sort of the energy of this smile, and it just has made so much difference to my well-being. And I
Wow.
know, even if it's just fleeting, if I can make that connection with someone else, a perfect stranger, I've
Wow.
built a bridge. There's
Is
a
that
connection.
in
Yeah.
is that culturally in Australia something that is normal for people to say hello, smile at each other walking by?
Yeah, it's interesting because Melbourne's definitely known as one of the most friendly cities in
Mhm.
the world. And so, I mean, there are some suburbs that you wouldn't do that, but on the whole, especially in the suburbs, not necessarily in the CBD,
Mhm.
people tend to smile if they're not too busy on their phones. Whereas it's interesting, in March, I was promoting my book in the States, and I was in New York.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking in New York.
Wrong place to smile.
Yes, if you smile, people look at you like,
I
Yeah.
It was really interesting. Like, I was on the subway and it's like, no, I don't want to make eye contact. However, and that was when I was sort of, heading towards, well, maybe I shouldn't say, but I was heading towards some more dodgy areas, shall we say. But it was interesting when I was sort of going uptown, or maybe I was downtown, I don't know, one way or the other. Um, I ended up striking up just a conversation with some tourists. And just like then, the sort of smiling and laughter happened. And then just the people around us, you could feel that ripple effect. So it felt safer.
yeah,
Um, I think you need to be a selective smiler, or, in certain circumstances. However, as a rule, wherever I am, unless I'm feeling unsafe vibes, I will give a gentle smile. It might not be like a, full, Duchenne smile, with the full, teeth and everything, but it might just be a, just more of a
And I want to say something to
reassuring.
that. I love that. I love that, Roz, I want to say. And forgive me if I sound very much like a tourist or like, oh my goodness, this person's never been to Australia, because I haven't. But I'm going to say that my son, when he was younger, one of his favorite shows was Bluey, which
Yes.
is, the creators are, forgive me if I'm wrong, but are in Australia, right? And the takes, right. And you made me think about it, because every time they're walking across down the block or down the street, they're always saying hi to each other. Like it's like a constant like good day, bandit, good day, like they're always saying hi and always smiling. And it's like it's so I enjoy watching the show now. And I'm upset that my son doesn't watch it anymore. But it's so positive. I know it's a kid's show, and I'm just saying, but it does give you a taste of the culture a little bit. And it's just so nice. Like, where did we forget? Even if you don't know the person, just to say have a good day, where like just like a gentle smile and a good day or hello, like, you know what I mean, like where did that go? You know what I mean? It just
Yeah,
seems,
I mean, that's right. It's like, I mean, it's an act of kindness, really, but it's not
yeah,
just about, it's not just self-kindness. It's the kindness that, gives to yourself as well as others. So, I mean, it's interesting, Michael, because it's not, I mean, as I say, I mean, I live in an area where, I definitely think, if I did a smile audit, and I do these, I mean, listen, I'm fascinated by these things. So it doesn't matter where I am, whether it's a new city or a new place, I will do a smile audit. And it's not necessarily a conscious thing. I just sort of size up the place I'm in. It's like, are people genuinely smiling here? Like if I go into a big business corporation, it's like the first thing I will notice is how healthy is this business in terms of they're smiling, and because it shows like that trust, it conveys trust, it conveys connection, it conveys a sense of ease. But in the country towns, which is where Bluey would be, definitely it's more of a hello, good day, smile. Whereas, in more sort of built up areas, definitely smiling is still a thing, less hellos, and it's yeah, and it's fascinating. It's really fascinating, but it makes such a difference to people. And it was something that I noticed in the pandemic that people really struggled with, having this face mask concealing, a good part of your face. It's like, how do you convey that sense of ease, connection, and trust if you can't see someone's mouth?
Right.
And but with a genuine heartfelt smile, your eyes still smile. You can tell if someone is smiling behind a mask, and you would
Right.
know that.
That's
uh so yeah, you just have to try a little harder.
that's so
I
true. You
can't
know
tell
what's
you how good of a day I'd have, by the way, and I'll let you take over, G, if someone said, have a good day to me that I didn't even know, right?
Aw.
As I was walking down the block. If someone, you know what I mean? How much that would start my day off beautifully.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
why it's like when you watch something like a TV show and you kind of transport yourself in there a little bit, I'm always so happy watching a show like that because it seems like the world could be such a beautiful place if everyone did that. So it's like you're transporting
Oh,
yourself into what you want the world to be.
goodness.
You know what I mean?
And
Totally.
that's why I watch Hallmark movies. Because
Yes,
you know
yes,
what's interesting, Mike? What I was just thinking is one of the things that I noticed when I interviewed at the hospital where we did our residency at Greenwich. So Michael and I grew up in New York, but we did our
Yes,
residency in Connecticut. I remember when I interviewed, walking through the hallway, everybody said good morning. They didn't know us. Good morning, good
yes,
morning. I loved that. I thought, wow, this is such a beautiful place. I had never been to
yes,
Connecticut. I'm like, maybe this is what it's like in Connecticut. And
yes.
that was one of the main things I remember telling people, that I really enjoyed that. Like you felt like people knew each other there, and it was really nice.
the interview
That
sold
is.
me on that hospital as well. So that's it's I 100% agree with you, Gina Marie. There was everyone was smiling and saying hello, and you're the newbies, so you think that everyone's going to be like, who are they? You know what I mean? And they were so kind, and I even remember Jeff. Shout out to Jeff, our wonderful nurse in ICU there at Greenwich, who I walked in and it was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like this bright smile, as if you know me for years, and
Yeah.
it made me feel so good. And so this is like opening up memories in my mind of these things and how it makes so much sense. So you're really doing a
Yeah.
lot of good, Roz, I can tell you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. But yeah, it's just amazing, as I say, just something as humble as this smile can be so transformative. And as I say, I've used it, for my own well-being when it's part of, a smiling meditation. But as I say, just at a population level, it transforms. And so yeah, it's interesting. One of the things that one of the examples, case studies I give in my book is about this municipality in Melbourne that noticed that there wasn't a lot of trust between neighbours. It was a bit of a dodgy, sort of hit and miss sort of suburb. And one of the things that they'd come out in a community survey was is that neighbours didn't really know one another. And they came up with this radical idea. They came up with this program called Smiles Per Hour. Okay. So the municipality, the council had volunteers, and they would walk down these suburban streets, and they would take an audit of how many people who walked past them would smile or look at them or nothing. And then they would be able to make this audit of which streets needed the most infusion of smiles, right? And they introduced this whole program about, they had put up street signs. You are entering a smiles per hour zone. Smiling is encouraged. And slowly but surely, this suburb was transformed. They had competitions like the most smiling street, the most smiling shopping center. And it like sounds crazy, right? But it really, they did this program over, I think it was 5 years. So they really could map the difference in, community and community connection. And it was staggering on all levels, neighbors, more friendly. There was less crime. There was just genuinely just more interest in each other. So, we sort of think that, it's just a smile, but it's not.
I love it. I love how simple that is and how many ripple effects there really are to that. I mean, I would imagine the property values go up if the neighborhood is better and there's less crime, right?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, try and buy there now.
Yeah, and so simple. There's nothing complicated about it. It applies to everyone. You can be from any culture, race, like everybody gets and everybody can
Yes,
smile. It's
The
beautiful.
exactly.
quote,
Everyone can smile, just like everyone can laugh. It's a universal language.
Mhm.
oh, now I have two quotes. I had a quote for the episode. Now you just gave me another quote, Roz. I was going to say one of the quotes for this episode definitely needs to be, oh, it's just a smile, but it's not. Right? I mean, that's
I
perfect.
like that.
I think that's definitely the quote for this episode. But that's another one right there. So that's amazing. So one final question before we wrap up. What if someone, they're watching this episode, for example, or they're reading your website and they're saying, I don't know, how do I know if this is right for me? How do they know?
A good question. Firstly, we need to honor all of our emotions. Everything that we're going through, we need to honor. We can't just sort of like push away the really challenging ones, the ones that we don't want, and just say, no, I'm not going to deal with them. In some manner, we need to acknowledge that. Now we need to find things that feel authentic, that really speak to us, which is why earlier, when we were discussing, about laughter yoga, I was saying it's not necessarily for everyone on every day. So there are, for someone who's going through a really tough time, one of my go-to things is getting back to this notion of micro moments. Really micro moments of joy, micro moments of positivity, micro moments of laughter, micro moments of smiling. So what I mean by that is it's not about looking for, the big birthday celebration, the big overseas trip, the big promotion, because that is likely not going to be happening for a while and it's not, in the present moment. But every day, no matter how challenging a day is, there is always some goodness there. It could be, just a shared cup of tea that you had, or even just the cup of tea. It's these micro moments, just this small smile encounter that you had with someone. These are the sorts of things that the more micro moments of joy, the more micro moments of positivity you have in your day, necessarily the less other more stressful, challenging ones you do. It doesn't make them go away, but it creates a bit of space. It creates a different lens for you to be able to view them as well. So, in some way, whether that's through journaling, whether that's through just the mental process, just every day, just thinking, what micro moments of positivity, what micro moments of joy can I observe in my day? And not be flippant about it, really pause into these micro moments. And wow, how, it's like we just take so much for granted. But, sometimes it's just as say this small, just it's just a bit of a reframe, really. That really is one of my go-to things. And the other thing is really, someone who's struggling, I think breathing is really important. I mean, obviously, but so often when we're stressed, our breathing sort of really sort of shuts down, more superficial, more shallow, which tends to feed that stress response. So inviting moments in your day, whether you're at a traffic light feeling a bit stressed, whether I don't know, you've just had a stressful meeting or something, just taking a moment, whether, as I say, let's go with a traffic light example. It's a red traffic light and it's like you're running a bit late, you're stressed, rather than going into that I'm stressed, I'm late sort of thing. It's like, oh, traffic light, okay, this is an opportunity for me to breathe. And wow, I can actually smile. Or, hey, you know what? I think I'm just going to just laugh, just like until the traffic light turns to green. So it's about, as I say, just every now and then, just checking in, having these traffic light moments in our day where we breathe, we smile, we laugh, and in a way that does feel comfortable. And the more we get into the habit of doing that, the more we create this habitat of joy and of levity. So, the more we practice something, the better we get at it. So the same thing can be applied to um, just like, working out in a gym, to smiling, to laughing, to, finding the funny, to, micro moments of joy. It's the same thing. We get better at it.
Wow, unbelievable. Gee, I think that there's still so much to unpack here. So I'm going to propose live on air, as they say, that we have, if Raj, you'll have us, I think we need to do a part two,
Sure.
because I have so much more I still want to ask you, but this can go on for hours. So I think we're going to need to do a part two, if you're okay with that, Dr. Papia.
Have fun. I'd be delighted.
Yep.
Yes. And I'm having a thought that we're going to talk offline about this one, but I'd really like to have two guests on that episode, you and someone else, because I really think we can create some really good energy and
Sure.
throw some ideas back and forth.
I'll leave it up to you entirely. Absolutely, I'd be delighted. We can
Yes,
get some
yes.
actual, we can do some more, activities as well, or something. A few little practices.
Mm.
Throw
I
them
would
in
love
for the.
that.
I can see the gears moving in your mind, Mike. I feel like
I can
yes,
also.
he's
Oh,
got something up his sleeve.
oh yes, yes, yes. It's all good. Again, and it's only
Love it.
to complement the conversation. So we will
Yeah,
talk.
sure.
We'll figure this out, but we'll have you back, Roz. All
Sounds
right.
wonderful.
Roz, for our viewers who are listening, where could they connect with you, find more information? And I'll put all the links, obviously, on the bottom of the show notes. But for those watching, where can they connect with you?
Well, either my website, which is rosbenmoshe.com, that's got, everything, or you can check out my latest book, which is The Laughter Effect, How to Build Joy, Resilience, and Positivity in Your Life. That's in, I think it's in 6 languages now, and audio. And so, yes, there's been a bit of fun activity in that department lately. And yeah, my previous book was Laughing at Cancer. And yeah, just send telepathic messages my way. I've also got a newsletter. So yeah, go to my website. That's the best thing, and sign up. And yeah, it would be a joy to connect.
Amazing, amazing. Gina Marie, thoughts on the episode?
No, this has been amazing. Such a pleasure just to learn from your experience. Thank you for being with us today, this morning and
Oh.
this evening, bringing it together.
That's right. That's right.
Well, and thank you for all you do. As I say, it's I love the idea of the upward spiral. So yeah, keep
Thank you.
on, keep on keeping on.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, for our viewers, thank you for joining us. This has been the Upward Spiral podcast. See you next time.